As we celebrate Diversity Month, there is probably no one better than Dr. James Mason to discuss this topic. Dr. Mason is the president of OCAT, or known as the Organizational Cultural Competency Consulting and Training. Dr. Mason has worked around the country and around the world, applying cultural competency to a variety of service disciplines, including healthcare, public health, mental health, child welfare, higher ed, and so many other topics. Dr. Mason, good morning and thank you.
Good morning, Larry. How are you today?
So far, so good. As we talk about diversity, Dr. Mason, as we talk about celebrating diversity, why should diversity be celebrated and why should it be celebrated in this context?
Well, I think diversity is, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. And everywhere I've been has been diverse. It isn't just a matter of race and ethnicity, but it's all of our different aspects of our identity. It might be age, it might be geography, it might be religion. And when we just use one lens to see people, we might miss something. And we really benefit when we really take people's different identities, their different assets, their different resiliencies, their different strengths, and combine those to our mutual best benefit. And far too often, I've seen this inadvertently or unwittingly lop off parts of people or put people into a box that limits who they really are and negates some of the benefits that they might bring to the table.
As you travel the United States, now you're helping in Gresham in this space as well. What is the most valuable lesson that you've learned throughout your journey and your time in diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think it's the ability to see people in terms of their strengths. And every group, every person, every population has resiliencies that we're often unaware of. For example, one of the things we often hear about are the different generational cohorts. And for example, we might look at millennials and see them through a negative lens, but that lens has been defined by people who aren't millennials, right? And so in many cases, we have to really begin to learn people in terms of their strengths. And much of what we've learned in our formal education has negatively predisposed us as to who should be flying the plane, who should be serving the drinks, who should be making the decision, who should be emptying the bedpan, all those kind of things. And everybody brings something to the table, believe it or not, or they wouldn't be here.
Last question I have for you, Dr. Mason. As we talk about diversity in the country, diversity, the things that are going on around, what are you most encouraged by what you're seeing in this movement?
I think what's encouraging is just people's newfound curiosity, looking for ways to go beyond what they may have learned before, beginning to understand the plight of other people, and in most particularly the concept of equity, quite frankly. What does fairness mean in a modern world? How do we make sure that we make accommodations for people that might be different based on their language, based on their gender, based on their sexuality, based on their age, based on where they're located? For example, certain people, by virtue of just being urban, might have access to broadband and opportunities therein versus being more rural. And so how do we make sure that our rural populations have an equal footing or fair footing in participating in today's society? When I think of Gresham is very, very diverse geographically. It's becoming more and more diverse racially and ethnically. It has great economic diversity. And if we don't begin to find ways to harness that, we might not benefit from the citizens who inhabit Gresham or the citizens who inhabit the United States or the world.
Dr. Mason, as always, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And I wish you luck on your diversity journey, Larry, and the city of Gresham as well. Thank you for having me.